Welcome back, everyone. I am no longer joined by Mr. Ross Gilbert, but this time with Mike. So I'm Alex. Mike, how did you find that top 8?
Oh, that was exceptional. It was incredibly fast as well, which was exciting to see the different paces of the games, to have that powerful V attack in the first one, followed by the complex Kyogre play.
Yep.
Mateus really showed us a masterclass of the Lost Box there.
Oh, 100%. Just happy that I was able to call out the plays and then him go down that route. Yeah, I know, thank you. Little pat on the back there for me. But no, fantastic games, and we're, all of these games kind of seem to be going very quickly as we are able to very soon bring you our top 4 feature match, which will bring back one of our stream players from earlier on today.
Yeah, I mean, you said about the fast matchups. It's all about Turbo, Lost Box, and Mew VMAX right now. Tends to be quite quick. And there we go. We can see how those games went. All 2-0s in that quarterfinal, which is why we're so quickly into our semi-finals. But we're going to be focusing on that bottom semi-final.
Yeah, the bottom bracket where Leon had to face a mirror match against Jack there, another featured player in day 2, but able to take that victory 2-0, where Nicolene is playing the Mew Fusion version, which we saw already take down Malmo regionals, was able to take out one of the Lugias in top 8.
Yeah, I mean, the Fusion Mew is the new flavor on the block. It's the exciting version of Mew VMAX around, but traditionally, Disruption Mew VMAX tends to be favored in the matchup, but as we saw for Lassa in Malmo, not only did he win the final against Double Turbo Energy Mew VMAX, a Disruption build, he won against it in the quarterfinal. So it does show that it's not as one-sided as previously thought, so we'll get to see that in just a moment. On the other side, Mateus and Maximilian will be competing in their semi-final, so we'll see how that one pans out in just a bit, and we'll find out who our champion here is in Turin.
Yeah, just a quick reminder of the other side of the bracket. Of course, we just saw Mateus with that Lost Box Kyogre list up against Lugia in the other semi-final now. But like Mike has just mentioned, we will be focusing on the bottom bracket. Leon being undefeated throughout both day 1 and day 2 Swiss, with Nicolene having to have that tricky, sort of risky ID at the end of day 2 and being able to sneak in as our top or highest placing 31-pointer.
Fair play to him. And I think you mentioned there Leon, familiar face here on the stream. We saw him take down Liverpool in commanding fashion, and it was one of those where afterwards I saw him packing away all his booster boxes that he won, and he left space in his suitcase for it. And that, I assume he leaves suitcase space every event he goes to, because he expects to win, wants to be a winner and take away those big prizes. So now in the top 4, we'll be looking to do the same here in Turin. It's been a great event so far.
Yeah, fantastic. And you know what? It's not something we've ever mentioned too much already, but in our top 8, we've had 3 this season regional champions in top 8. So returning players to just be able to try and take down yet another event.
And we saw in that interview I just had with Mateus, he felt inspired after winning a regional. It's huge for that motivation. It makes you realize you are capable of it. You start investing into traveling all around the world. You start getting those points to go to international championships and gain that experience. So we'll see what happens here in the semi-finals as the players are just shuffling on the main table there. And Nicolene coming up against that amazing Mew VMAX. So I'm excited to see how the 2 decks pan out here, Mew VMAX versus Fusion Mew.
Yeah, so Nicolina is not shy to having some top finishes as well with Mew decks. So already placed in just outside top 128 at the EUIC. But we'll have a quick look at Leon once again, showcasing that, he was the champion at the regional in Liverpool this season. I believe it was in January. And also having that top 32 finish in a special event. And Nicolina with the top 256 placement. I think it was roughly 133rd at EUIC, and then a top 64 at Balkan Regionals as well. So
roughly 133rd. That sounds very specific.
Yeah,
Alex.
sorry. I just had to double check. I just had to cast my eye over to.
It was exactly 133rd,
yeah, all right, okay.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been an amazing guess if you just pulled that one out. But yeah, top 64 and 133rd.
Yeah, thanks for that. It was in mind. I kind of half forgot it. I had to glance over again, but I just wanted to make sure we got that number out there. Yeah, I finally got it right. It's fine.
Now, I'm unfamiliar with Nicolina, but that surname, Is that a relation or is it just a coincidence?
I will not make any assumptions, unfortunately, but yeah, exactly. It's one of those common Danish surnames, perhaps. You know, Magnus Pedersen is a previous world champion in the senior division, but it is a common surname, so we'll go with that for now as a safe bet. We don't want to make any assumptions.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of families in Pokemon. We do see them about. So sometimes when you see a common surname, you do wonder if they're related to another player traveling all around Europe together.
Yeah, I had it in Malmo myself when I faced up against a cameraman. It was the older brother of the two.
Yeah, we just had an interview with a younger sister of one of our regular masters. So a lot of families here, and a lot of the parents are judges as well, just to add to that. But as you can see there, Mew VMAX versus Mew VMAX. It's the fusion build for Nicolina. Leon with the more disruption-focused double turbo energy build. We'll see how this one pans out.
Yeah, let's see which player will be able to go first, start utilizing their game plan. Of course, Nicolina having that opportunity to have a massive KO, even if she decides, well, maybe decides to go second.
Yeah, I mean, in the best of one format, sometimes the fusion build can be a little bit more effective because you can always come back with that early knockout. So a lot of it comes down to that early pressure, and we do see a Meloetta in the prizes, so that does take away from that early knockout potential.
Yeah, does play that Hisuian heavy ball to try and pull out one of those one-of attackers as well, though. So let's just see. There is a mulligan already given by Leon to Nicolina as she does take their mulligan just then. Just trying to look at the hand, what's available. The prizes, again, nothing too crazy. Maybe the power tablets could come into play for Leon here.
Maybe the vacuum count as well.
Very true.
The heavy ball is also in the prizes for Nicolina.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry. Maybe that's where I got the heavy ball from when I saw it. And I was like, yeah, she just has the heavy ball and just
That's an easy find.
Yeah, exactly that.
So that could completely change up this first game here, because the heavy ball is there for the one-of attackers in the deck. As we start our semi-final, let's see how both players begin their first turn. I see some Battle VIP pass there, so Nicolina getting into the game.
Yeah, Nicolina with a Fusion Mew list, able to start the game off with that Battle VIP pass. So looking to try and get her board set up so that she'd be able to just then begin swinging with just the Mews will be absolutely fine, in the same vein that Leon will be.
And often we see a little bit of a disruption package in the fusion build. There is a judge and 2 path here for Nicolina, so not as much as what we see on Leon's side, where there's the 4 path, the 4 vacuum, the 3 judges as well. So slightly different approaches, but there is an interesting card in Nicolina's list, the Avery.
Yeah, the opportunity to put Leon's side of the board down to just 3 bench Pokemon, maybe just kind of removing them from play in effect, because most of these decks now do not play any recovery, and still being able to draw cards is just another little additional bonus as well. Does also play the one-off Roxanne that a lot of Mew lists tend to play now, so has that kind of hybrid approach going into this matchup.
Yeah, hybrid approach seems to be the more favored at the moment. Just having those more options, it can make the deck a little bit less consistent. But as we know with Mew, if you are able to get all those Genesect down at the start, it doesn't matter if you need to find 1-ofs or 2-ofs in your deck. You do tend to find a way to draw towards them. As we see the first turn looking very solid for Nicolina.
Yeah, and she just wants to look to try and draw as many cards as possible. That's why she's playing the switch card out now. We'll have 3 cards in hand. We'll be able to Fusion Strike system for the first time in our top 4 for 3 cards. Has energy attachment, which can start the trade-off here as well. Has drawn into the second one, which could be a little bit, actually, could be fantastic.
It could be great next turn. Also the Avery in that hand. So without a judge from Leon, if Leon sets up fully with a complete board state, that Avery could be devastating next turn. So we'll see how Leon's turn goes. And obviously, the key is in the name. The disruption build wants to disrupt, so we'll see if that comes out here for Leon.
Yeah, so Leon's first turn of his top 4, having already bested another mirror match or type of mirror match in top 8. So we'll be looking to try and do the same, disrupt Nicolina's side of the board. Does get down that Mew V with the Feather Ball. So we'll just be able to pan back out for you guys to follow at home as well. As he just double checks what is currently prized. If Nicolina was able to get a path to the peak, that would be leaving Leon in a sticky situation, because with 2 vacuums in prizes, there would be, well, four cards, 3 because one of the paths is also prized, that would not be playable from the deck. So could start to, let's say, clunk up the hand.
Yeah, we can just see Leon just doing a deck check there. We'll be looking through. He's going to be playing a Cramomatic onto the other Cramomatic. So we'll be rolling the dice to see what they get here. And double turbo energy out of the deck there. So yeah, just going through their deck right now. Leon is just trying to set up as much of the board state as possible. We'll get you a view in a second of what the whole board is looking like right now.
Yeah, so he's just kind of assessing the options as we do. Just have maybe a small, slight technical hitch, because we aren't currently able to showcase the overhead shot to see what is happening. But we'll continue to try and make sure we keep you guys updated as soon as possible, as we do see a further Fusion Strike system come down, and the nest will now come down from Leon's side.
Yeah, we just want to have a look at the overview there. There we go. We can now see the overview of the game. Genesects have been in play. The Ultra Ball there, huge as well, thinning a load of the deck so you can find another basic Pokemon. And this is perfect for Leon, just trying to set up the board as much as possible. Nothing in hand now, so we'll need to draw through that deck to try and find that Judge Path combination to disrupt Nicolina as much as possible.
Yeah, fresh cards from the Fusion Strike systems to be coming after already 2 being used. Apologies again that we weren't able to fully follow that, but hopefully we won't have any more slight technical issues going forward now, as the full Fusion Strike system will be coming into effect from this 3rd Genesect.
6 cards for that Judge and Path combination. A Forest Seal Stones, that's something I saw. I mean, there's not a huge amount in the hand to play down. I mean, the Choice Belt and I guess the Lost Vacuum could get rid of the Choice Belt on the other side, so that's a playable there. The Feather Ball is an insta-playable as well, but might want to hold on to that for next turn. But does really need to draw into that Judge.
Yeah, wants to just kind of get it played out and just draw into it now, potentially saving that V-Star ability from the Forest Sealstone for a later turn when he's maybe trying to Judge Path at the same time. But of course, don't forget, 1 path is currently prized, 2 of the vacuums are currently prized as well. 1 is in hand, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He just wants to kind of naturally draw into them rather than have to utilize that Forest Sealstone to grab it.
There we go.
There we go, first card. First card from that Fusion Strike system is that Path to the Deep. But just missing the Judge now.
Yeah, so we'll get a Boss's Orders. That could help. You know, send a Genesect into the active spot. Would disrupt a little bit. But the Path to the Peak is only going to do so much to disrupt, because, you know, on the other side, there is things like the Lost City. There's 2 Lost Vacuum in there. One of them is prized, to be fair. So that Path could do some disruption. But as we mentioned, there is an Avery in hand for Nicolina, which could do some disruption too. So is this going to be the V-Star marker for that Judge, thinking that's the most important thing right now?
Yeah, there we go. There's the V-Star flipped over with the Judge. Played down is instant played. Yeah, just confirming it's being played there, because of course you don't want to be shuffling in if your opponent is currently just getting it out of the deck from the V-Star, but it is played out on the table, not into the hand, so we will take that as being played, as both players do shuffle up, and we'll be drawing 4 cards.
Now this is a little bit risky here. If Leon doesn't draw into any of those Lost Vacuum left in the deck, as you can see, Turin the prizes, he's used 1 already. So there is only the 1 Lost Vacuum available. So we'll be relying quite heavily on this top deck here. So none of those cards there will be available to set up the Mew VMAX next turn.
Not very helpful. There's the Forest Sealstone on Nicolina's side with a VMAX in hand as well. So options available to potentially leave and the DT as well. Judged into a perfect hand, in all honesty.
And could just leave the Path to the Peak in play.
Could target down that Mew with a DT on it as an option. Could go for the Forest Sealstone into the boss, for example. Would be an option available. Of course, Leon does have access to his own Forest Sealstone right now, so we'll be able to bump his own path, should he wish to do so, as we do see Nicolina now flip over that marker. Oh, sorry, apologies. He's used his V-star. That V-star at the top is separate. He's got his own card. That was a green.
Yeah, flip that over for the judge, right?
That's right. Sorry, I got myself a little bit confused and ahead of myself.
Yeah, if we can hopefully get that V-star marker out of shot, because they do have everything available for these players when they sit down, so they can access everything they need. And that V-star there just as a backup in case the player has, you know, a confusing V-star marker, but Leon has a very clear V-star marker with V-star written on the other side of that card. And we'll see what's happening here for Nicolina. Just going to go into...
I think I saw she had taken the Lost Vacuum, but I'm not 100% sure. That card there just sat on top of that Mu V.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one.
So she wants to be drawing cards, it looks like.
It's a tough decision here, because that PAL pad could be useful in the future. So it's going to be getting rid of the PAL pad now. Nope, changed over to the Genesect last moment there. PAL pad too important later on. And so we're going for 5. We'll want to try and replace that part of the peak at the end of this turn, because could be mighty effective at disrupting. Does draw into the fusion energy, not ideal, but has some cards to play down here. Interested to see where Nicolina goes with this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, now has been able to draw a number of cards available to her. It does look like a Cramomatic is an option here. Still eyeing up maybe discarding that PAL pad, but here comes what looks to be an Ultra Ball, and just kind of looking for further options for the board. As we do see the Mu VMAX move to the front of the deck, you know, establishing 2 massive attackers. One, if Leon is able to maybe escape rope between them and try and take an easy prize. This way, Nicolina will be able to just move it into the Mu VMAX instead. Looks like a Tails. Looks like the Tails there from the Chromatic, as she does just continue shuffling up her deck. Will be able to continue using Fusion Strike system to kind of draw her hand back up to 6.
And this is where that hybrid of fusion, aggressive fusion build with the part of the peak disruption build can be mighty effective at doing both game plans. And in this situation, there's less outs to get the disruption, but there are outs in the deck. So Nicolina going to hope to try and find them. Draws into 2 Battle VIP pass, not ideal, but has some cards that are playable. It's going to be tough to find those rare 2 paths to the peak in the deck to replace and disrupt Leon back.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest Fusion Strike system there. Not too many playable cards, as you kind of alluded to. But, you know, Leon looking out to the crowd, as it were, just kind of waiting for Nicolina to complete her play. She will be taking 2 prizes here, as she does elect to use Alyssa's Sparkle, choosing the Mu VMAX on the bench and the Mu V on the bench. Now has 3 energies out, so if she is able to, at some stage, take the Meloetta from her prizes, we'll be able to potentially go for the big KO.
100%, and not only that, but by having the fusion energy on the Mu VMAX to power up the attack, it takes away that negative -20 that we see on a Mu VMAX, so can hit those bigger numbers a little bit better. Does find that path right at the end, and that could be huge right here for Leon. Wants to get off the top there, just a choice belt. Not much to play down here.
And the Nest Ball, he will need to sort of begin setting up a second Mu.
The rest of the hand's not great.
It's not. The only thing he can do is wait for further prizes to be taken by Nicolina before maybe using Roxanne to just try and navigate a way back into the matchup. Really difficult scenario here for Leon.
Oh, going to have to really come back in this one. There's not a huge amount going in Leon's favor as he just passes, flops back in his chair as Nicolina is now the one in control as they can get a knockout here. We did see an important card there for Leon for next turn, but right now it's not active.
But with 2 attackers ready to go back-to-back for Nicolina, that Leon's going to be asking for quite a lot here. Has already gone through a decent amount of his deck from that first turn, of course, so maybe there's just important pieces, but those power tablets are in the prizes.
And we do see at the top there, you see the Heavy Ball and the Meloetta still in the prizes, so Melodious Echo off limits at the moment. Leon's going to have to pull off a miracle here. A max miracle, maybe.
Max miracle. Nicolina just a boss away. Currently doesn't have it from the 2 from the Roxanne. of course, will be under her own path lock. Does find the Mew VMAX. Well, Mew VMAX, apologies, and also a Chromatic. Maybe just try and get going in some way, shape, or
Tails
form.
there. Just the tails.
There's one tablet, just to kind of put
this
more
is
damage.
not ideal. Going to put the power tablet down and just copy Technoblast. This is not looking good for Leon.
Yeah, so Nicolina just one boss away, but from that 2-card hand right now, not able to do too much. There's an Alyssa Sparkle. Oh,
it's all on board.
There's escape rope. Sorry, apologies. I didn't notice that in hand. That escape rope being able to allow Nicolina to take her final 2 prizes, up 1 game in top 4 in this mirror match.
There we go. Nicolina with the Fusion Mew coming through, disrupting back into Leon's Mew VMAX, and we saw exactly how effective that was. I mean, the disruption package is in both of the Mew VMAXs, typically in higher numbers in a double turbo energy build, but you saw how the Fusion build was able to do it right back and work so well.
Yeah, that judge, and it's not the first time we've seen a judge by Leon himself actually work against him. Being able to put almost a perfect 4 cards into Nicolina's hands, whilst just unfortunately having a few cards which were not really playable from his side of the board. So
had to judge though. That was a really important judge.
Did have to judge. It looked like he contemplated not doing it because he did have the Lost Vacuum in hand with the path already. Maybe, as you mentioned, a boss to try and cause a bit of an annoyance to Nicolina's side. But, you know, that's just sometimes how Pokemon goes.
I mean, the challenge you've got there was he had to use the Forest Seal Stone for the judge. And that really took away the options out of that path judge situation. So Leon going to go down that first game. Nicolina showing exactly why the Fusion build is so good right now. Historically, and I cannot overstate this enough, historically, Fusion build did not do well against the double turbo energy build. It was very much in favor of the double turbo energy build just because disruption was what won games, right? So across a large population of people, the disruption build gets more access to it, does it more often, gets out of it more often, and therefore it wins. But recently, we've been seeing the Fusion build be piloted by great players and take those wins quite frequently.
Yeah, it's one of those things where both players have to navigate that first turn, sometimes first 2 turns, and when it gets to that stage, oh, that's a fantastic start. Sorry, just kind of going back to the players, as both players have begun as well as we look to bring you the dome shot to be able to see what's exactly going on. Leon is obviously going first with a Battle VIP pass in Game 2 of our top 4 feature match. But just as he's going through his deck, checking his prizes, just going back on that point, navigating the first couple of turns is vital for both players. Nicolina starting the Meloetta gives her a fantastic out to potentially take a turn 1 KO.
And typically when you look at those prizes and see the 2 Mews, you'd be a bit worried. But with the Fusion build, they don't actually need as many Mews. They can be comfortable with just the 2 Mews in play. So it's not all bad there, but a lot of it's down to whether that hand can deal with what Leon does here. Because the advantage of going first with Mew, if you set up nice and wide with your board state, you can also then set up that path as well to try and disrupt whatever starting hand Nicolina has. So we see here already 4 Fusion Pokemon in play and just working out how to thin the rest of that hand down.
Yeah, so one of the things, and just kind of beginning to map some of these turns, as it were right now, if both players were able to get what they want. Nicolina will be looking to try and get her board set up as well, only be able to get that 1 Mew V. Leon's second turn, he might be thinking, do I target down that singular Mew V that might be coming down on the board? But then does leave the Meloetta still available to continue swinging away with Melodious Echo.
Which changes the prize map this game, doesn't it? Because there are 1 prizes to think about, so it could be a 1-2-3 prize map or 1-3-2, where on the other side, Mew VMAX typically wants to go 2-2-2 if possible into other Mew builds. And so it will just change up that route for Leon. And ultimately, early on, we'll just try and slow down Nicolina's presence as much as possible with these early turns. If they can get a path out here, that would be huge.
Yeah, always massive to get the first path out. Does hit into another Battle VIP pass, sort of start utilizing them nice and early, not leave them left still in the deck somehow, get them played, get them just out of the way as Leon will continue setting up his board, of course. Just wants to find that path and, of course, an out to it for a second turn. That's it.
Yeah, we shall see as those VIP pass very useful early on here. One of the advantages of the Mew build is you can get a VIP pass and then draw into even more. And as we saw in the last game, Nicolina drew into another VIP pass they couldn't even use. So we'll see what happens here.
Pretty good here, has drawn into the path, has Judge in hand already, has lost Vacuum in hand already. So potentially a really strong turn 1 here from Leon.
Lovely.
And something to work with for turn 2.
And as we mentioned before, the Judge in Nicolina is just a one-off. So the likelihood of Nicolina judging here is very unlikely. And so this could be a tough old turn for Nicolina.
Just mapping out her turn here as well, because she has a couple of Ultra Balls to work with. She does have Lost Vacuum in hand already, so just needs to identify which cards she would want to potentially lost zone to iron up one of those Ultra Balls, just so she can start getting going on her side of the board with Fusion Strike System herself.
Yeah, sometimes having loads of Ultra Ball at the start, it seems quite bad. You'd have to discard things you don't want to. But if you do a Fusion Strike System into anything, you can then discard that for another Genesect and start building up that hand nice and quickly. So Ultra Balls can be quite nice early on. Sometimes too many of them can affect your late game as you lose access to them for deck thinning.
Yeah, at the moment, though, always runs the bit of a risk because you only be drawing 3 cards. And those 3 cards could be cards which are unplayable still, maybe some supporters, for example, which would leave Nicolina in a position where she can't use maybe a second Fusion Strike System because she just can't draw the additional cards to do so.
Well, this is what Fusion Mew does best. You've got to believe.
You've got to believe.
You've got to believe in that Meloetta first turn. Alyssa Sparkle, get the knockout. It's possible. It's hard, but it's possible. And when it does happen, it can change the game completely in your favor. So Nicolina hoping for something good here.
So does target the Genesect V from that Ultra Ball there. We'll have a board of Meloetta and double Genesect. So 2 Fusion Strike Systems available. Has 1 card in hand, has another Ultra Ball in hand. So we'll be able to potentially get a third Genesect down and play a hand down as well. There's a DTE,
oh dear,
which is not ideal. But let's see how this is going to be turned out. She's going to have to unfortunately sacrifice one of the DTEs, one of the 3 that she plays, I believe, as what you'd expect in Fusion builds. Also that escape rope, but she does have a second copy somewhere.
Well, the dream here is to get the Meloetta attacking, so that double turbo energy won't be useful there. You don't want to change its active position, so we'll see a Mew come down here. So it means access to 1 Genesect Fusion Strike System for 4 here to see everything they need for the Alyssa Sparkle. As they're just chuckling here, as I think one of the other games is getting pretty exciting right here in Turin.
Yeah, just everyone are getting a chance to enjoy themselves. Obviously, all the games being played here in Turin, special event, as we're starting to see the climax of some of the other games, but yes.
Speaking of other games going on, the other semi-final right now is 1 game up for the Lugia build. Maximilian, 1 game up versus Mateus. So we'll see what happens on that side, as there is a Fusion energy down.
Just missing the Alyssa Sparkle.
Okay.
Does get a battle VIP pass, but that does mean she will be board locked for another Mew. But I guess from her perspective, she won't be able to necessarily, fail the first one and then play the second. She won't be able to get the Mew out, but 2 of the other Mews are already prized anyway.
And there's lots of outs to the Alyssa Sparkle because you've got all of those Forest Seal Stones as well. So
4 outs available.
4 outs. This is exciting right here. If we see that turn 1 Meloetta play, we will be blown away by Nicolina's, I don't want to say luck because it's been played out very well, but there is definitely a little bit of luck involved to getting that first turn Melodious Echo.
Yep, just waiting for that potential to happen here, but she will be digging for those cards. She's only drawing 3, it looks like. So Leon just giving it a good shuffle, and here it is, the 3.
Or escape rope power tablet. Lost vacuum, no.
Just missing out, unfortunately.
A Judge as a backup plan is not the worst.
The Judge is very helpful, considering we'll just limit the options for Leon here. And the Judge does come down. Unfortunately, the Melodious Echo for the turn 1 KO won't be happening this turn. It'll be a shock if we see that it is able to sustain itself in the active position.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's fair play when you win game 1, you're going second in game 2. You do try and play the riskier play sometimes, right? You come into game 2 with a different game plan to what you'd normally do.
Yep. It would have been great to have seen that Alyssa Sparkle. It would have been good to have seen what Nicolina would have chosen as a second Alyssa Sparkle target. she puts it on the Mew, it makes it an easy, almost an easy target for Leon. But if she chose to put it on a Genesect V, it might have sort of caused a bit more of decision-making to be made by Leon's side of the board. But, yep, the Judge to 4, nothing really workable at the moment. None of the card, well, one card that's currently playable, but not really useful. Leon will be looking to try and reset up that path to the peak.
Yeah, what you said there about the tough decision was because of the fact that all 4 Genesect had to go down, which, to be fair, was the right decision to try and high roll that Alyssa Sparkle. But it does mean the board state now is not as sustainable for Nicolina. And you can see different outs, like you said. If you boss up that Mew and take that out, that means there's no Mew VMAX to worry about. It would potentially leave a 280 damage Melodious Echo available, but still, maybe even here, just knocking out the Meloetta, that's not a big problem, because it means that you've then got access to that 1, 2, 3 prize map that we described before. So this is a favorable position for Leon. No disruption as well to him, so he can think about disrupting now in return. So this game looking a little bit more in favor of Leon. Yeah,
it looks like a chain of judges at the moment. Of course, no path to the peak out on the field right now. That one at the top there has been lost zoned by Nicolina's Lost Vacuum. So Leon will be able to continue drawing some cards with the 3 Genesects that is on his bench.
So a little bit of patience now required by both players. That first game was quite disruptive, so it meant that we quickly worked out which way it was going to go as Nicolina took those 3 knockouts quite quickly. This time for Leon, it's going to be a little bit more of a slow-paced game, trying to get those knockouts, disrupt, focus on the different routes to victory, and what a hand that is there.
A measured approach looks like the right direction to go in for the time being. If he can hit maybe something like an escape rope, which would be ideal, because then being able to at least open up the 2 prizes does open up the opportunity for an overpowered Melodious Echo. But maybe just going down that direction is an option to him, if he can find it, of course. But until he does, for the time being, looks like he's just going the path psychically with the power tablets to take the KO and keep the Mew VMAX in the active spot.
Yeah, smart there, because that means now the path to the peak, yes, it disrupts Leon from setting out further Mew VMAX, but it means that that one that's in the active can continue to play. And we see a Mew VMAX in the hand for Nicolina. It's going to take a lot of digging, and there is a Lost Vacuum in hand.
2 outs there available for Nicolina. Which one will she choose? Because she could opt to Lost Vacuum Leon's path and then play down her own path after drawing more cards. Or she can go down the Lost City route and sort of hold on to the vacuum, but she does at the moment choose to hold on to the path and maybe just try and cause her own bit of disruption herself.
Yeah, I mean, the power tab route here to get the big knockout in the Mew VMAX would be reaching a little bit and might not be sustainably worth it. I guess the hope that then would be Leon can't set up a future attacker off the back of this. And a Mew VMAX would be safe after those 2 power tablets being used by Leon.
Not the strongest of hands here. Does have the escape rope play, so she's going to retreat first, of course, and then play into the escape rope to potentially take 2 prizes here, go up ahead in the prize race. Leon already having played 2 power tablets, if I'm correct in saying, will mean he won't be able to take the return KO on a Mew VMAX, but there's those Genesects that are available sat on the bench currently, as they're a further Fusion Strike system for 1 card. And there's an Avery, which is quite nice as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, just confirming whether the attachment was this turn. From our view, of course, we have the lovely little tokens at the bottom of the screen to showcase that the energy has been played already. There's the Avery. It's just a supporter not yet played. Choosing to discard 1 Genesect to 1 Mew, so working with only 4 Pokemon, 3 Pokemon after this KO now, as Nicolina works her way back into this game and does have the path, which looks like she probably will play down. She won't have another out to it herself. Does for a Seal Stone.
Okay. This is interesting right here.
What her target is here.
Because we've seen...
oh, okay, of course.
Get another Mew down.
Yep.
Good shout, good shout. No, I mean, we've seen with Leon, the disruption is more traditional from him. He's got the scary Judge Path combination with a high Lost Vacuum count, but that Avery is very disruptive in the mirror.
yeah, 100%. I think, did we not see it in Pablo Mesa's
oh yeah, we saw
UIC deck?
It was the first thing most people cut because
it was the DTU build, but with the Avery. But you know, the Avery helpful in other matchups where you get that kind of full board, kind of using it against something like Lost Box, getting the bench space. Then you have the echoing horn option as well.
Well, it's particularly good against Gardevoir and Mew VMAX Mirror. Yep. But it's interesting that in the Fusion build, I can see why it would be more effective there, because you want to have a better mirror matchup when you're playing the Fusion build. And on this occasion, that Avery does exactly that. And you do want to draw into cards. You want to find those outs to your single prize attacker sometimes. So it does fit quite nicely into this build.
There's a Technoblast KO. If she takes the 2 prizes, she has that access to Boss and Cramomatic. The Cramomatic could be utilized with that Battle VIP pass she also has in hand, as Leon now plays out his turn. Plenty of time, once again, as mentioned before, for our feature matches in Top Cut. Well, all matches in Top Cut, I should say, sorry. As he does put down another Mew V onto the board. Now working with just those 2 final Mew Vs, of course.
Okay, so what was in that hand for Leon after he judged path? I can't remember exactly what the composition of it was.
Was it after his judge path?
Yeah, because it was an Avery, wasn't it, from
oh, yes, of course.
Nicolina.
The boss is there. So can aim for sort of a 2 prizer. We'll need to find a way to take 3 more prizes, because that Meloetta has forced an awkward exchange in the prize race.
Interesting. So we'll see where this all pans out, because there is a way to reset that Mew VMAX in the hand with the switch cut. So can go for a Technoblast here comfortably and be able to get a knockout next turn. Still has access to that Forest Seal Stone as well. The V-Star mark you see there, still not flipped over. So actually quite a solid position here for Leon.
If Nicolina could find a way to utilize something like an escape rope to take the KO, saving the boss, that would be ideal, because there'll be certain turn where Leon will maybe evolve up that Mew V and basically block the escape rope play. So right now, still kind of in Nicolina's favor, because she will go down to the 2 prizes if, at worst case scenario, chooses to use the boss to bring up a 2 prize Pokemon. What's that else is that in her hand?
Cramomatic and a Battle VIP pass, always quite a nice combination to have. Yeah, you're right. The 2/2/2 line is available for Nicolina.
Does boss up the Genesect with the Forest Seal Stone, identifying that Forest Seal Stone yet to be used from Leon's side of the board, and just targets it down with another Technoblast. 2 more prizes, 2 prizes remaining for Nicolina on the cusp of potentially winning this top 4 game. Cramomatic tails there for Leon. Does have the attacker, does have boss in hand, but all advantage right now could just be with Nicolina. There's the escape rope as well. Just the Technoblast on the active Mew VMAX. Does Nicolina have a way to escape rope or boss up one of the 2 prizes on Leon's bench? That is the final question for this turn.
With the path to peak in play, draw is not going to be easy. There is only one more out left, that Lost Vacuum.
Massive.
Could be for this. And that's it. That's a heads.
That's a heads. Just got to confirm it in the deck itself. Will she be able to showcase it here?
Where is it?
Final few moments. Just I guess.
The boss needed.
Just kind of double checking. Is
that the boss there?
Just wanting to double check, of course.
Oh my goodness, the tension.
Has an out already been played in the deck? That might have been a little sparkle with the blue as well. Just double checking the. Just double checking the
is that
discard.
Both bosses have been discarded potentially, is it?
This could be massive in this game, where the power pad, it might have to be the option, but Leon is holding the boss in hand.
This is
and the
huge.
switch card, of course, to then be able to reset his attacker. If Nicolina can't take this knockout here or find a way to remove this Mew VMAX.
I mean, there's the Psychic Leap option.
Psychic Leap option is...
Potentially.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. This wasn't as simple as we thought it was. We saw that Chromatic heads there, and we just thought, just go in and get the boss. But you don't have access to the boss.
So both escape ropes either been played already. Both boss also in the discard. Vital turn here, giving Leon a bit of a lifeline.
Yeah, so we see there the 2 different artworks of the boss, the Lysander and the Giovanni, I believe. Going to be both going back into the deck. So not only are they back in the deck, but we need to find a way to get rid of that part of the peak. And as mentioned earlier, Lost City was sent to the Lost Zone via that Lost Vacuum. There is only 2 Lost Vacuum and a Lost City available to remove this part of the peak from play. So it might be a Psychic Leap turn just to try and delay the next approach.
Yeah, I think that would be vital here for Nicolina. Does bench the Mew V. Will have to try and maneuver this Mew VMAX out of the way so Leon is unable to take 3 prizes and take the win in game 2.
Technoblast last turn though, so it would have to get out of the active spot and back in to remove the damage, so the boss would be still available.
And I don't think there's that switch out in hand right now. V-Star already have been used. Just Alyssa Sparkle to kind of double check what is available. There's a switch card just at the front of the deck as well. And no way to take the knockout. This might have given Leon a lifeline back into this top 4 feature match.
Just got to hope there's no boss's orders in Leon's hand here for Nicolina.
Has to play to our outs. We said this before, but we know Leon, I believe, is actually holding the boss and the switch card. So can retreat switch card back into and boss for the final prizes. Tense moment
tough.
After all the emotion of the Chromatic heads. Yeah, just confirming that Nicolina is not able to Psychic Leap because she did use Technoblast to take the knockout on the previous turn. Leon just confirming that's exactly the case, so we'll have to retreat and just unfortunately hit into this Mew VMAX, which gives Leon, if I'm not mistaken, the win in this game. But I guess he's putting the damage counters on. I just want to know that is boss, if I'm not mistaken. Escape rope in retreat.
Just to reset that Mew VMAX. Just playing it out properly here.
And there's the boss. Massive turn of events. Leon takes game 2 of our top 4 feature match with an extraordinary turn of events after that emotion-inducing Chromatic heads.
There he is. I remember that. He did that exact same pose before when he was the winner. Leon coming through in that semi-final. What a game that was. That was tense right down to the very end.
I didn't expect that to happen. I'm not too sure Leon did either. He just played to the maximum percentages that he had, of course.
To have that boss in hand at the end there, that was so fortunate for him. But on both sides, there's little things, you know, like the escape ropes and boss's orders having to be discarded or used early as part of that early Ultra Ball dig. You know, it took away the 4 outs that were available, so the power pad had to be taken off that Chromatic. That was huge.
It was massive, and Nicolina, you know, she basically thought she had the game sewn up with the Chromatic heads there, but unfortunately, yeah, the 2 escape ropes and the 2 boss just not available for her. Once it dawned on her, she had to find a different route. The Psychic Leap was soon to be available, but no switch outs either. Yeah, what a game, but let's hope she's able to compose herself, head into this game 3 with the right state of mind. We want to see continued top play between both these players.
I mean, we'll just take a little moment to breathe here because that was hold your breath moment right there at the end, because we just didn't know the exact outcome in those final moments. And, you know, from our point of view, we had the information that Leon was ready to win that game the next turn. But one of the main outs a lot of the time in this game is I've just got to hope you don't have it in your hand, especially when there's a part of the peak in play. You know, it does take away a lot of options for Mew. So playing exactly how you had to at the end there, but unfortunately Disruption Mew does just have a little bit more stability under the part of the peak scenario. And on this occasion came through, and just looking at those prizes there, another set of Lost Vacuum found in the prizes. On the other side, one of the important paths. Outside of that, nothing too crazy.
Nicolina with the opportunity to set up her board again ahead of Leon, because Leon can't attack first, going second because he's just the DTE Mew. VMAX is available to do so, as we do see the Meloetta hit the bench there.
Right, and the other top 4 game is now 1-1. Game 3 has just started, just so you all know. Keep me updated. Where the quarterfinals are all quick 2-0s, we have a lovely little 1-1 situation in the semi-finals. So the winner of those will be going on to face the winner of this one here, Leon and Nicolina, competing with Mew VMAX decks, different builds. The winner will be guaranteed and Mew VMAX in the final.
It's crunch time in both games. How nerve-wracking could this be for our players? Remember, they just have to settle themselves, play out their game plans to as much perfection as possible, but it's tight.
It is. The three biggest decks in the last 6 months. We've had Lugia, we've had Lost Box, and we've had Mew VMAX. Slightly different builds to how they started, but this top four consists of those three archetypes. And Lugia and Lost Box on the other side competing. Where on this side, two variants of the Mew. And who'd have thought, coming into this tournament, that Mew would still be as good as it was at Malmo? You'd think everyone would be targeting it, but even then, even when people were targeting it, it was able to sneak through. Yeah,
this bracket, as it is, guaranteeing a Mew deck in the final. Just to kind of touch back on the game as well, there was a Chromatic Heads for a Battle VIP pass there.
Always dreaming.
Yeah, always, to be able to continue setting up. Otherwise, Nicolina might have been in a little bit of trouble there, but has found a way out. Does have another Ultra Ball, has to discard one of those DTs yet again, alongside maybe that Deoxys?
I think so.
Fusion Pokemon, yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, I've had a little look at Leon's hand. Not looking great. Not ideal for a first turn. There's still a top deck to come as well. But if Nicolina can set up strong here, then it's going to be a scary prospect for Leon.
Yeah, as Nicolina does prioritize the draw power of the Fusion Strike system, currently over another Mew at the moment. One Mew is prized, does have access somewhere to a second, but has outs with Feather Balls, Nest Balls, another VIP pass. So let's draw more cards first. Let's get into the game, get set up, and then we'll work from there. As she does hit the path as well.
That could be huge.
Looking to stifle what she can. There's the Choice Belt. Now maximizing that output to 310 if she hits an Illicit Sparkle. The final Fusion Strike system for an Echoing Horn. Nothing to be played there, but there's the path. Asking questions. She does have Lost Vacuum in hand.
Ready for that next turn. Let's see what Leon can do. And it's a Cramomatic. This could be a huge Cramomatic right here for Leon.
Decisions to be made.
Tough.
Is that a gold Plasma Freeze Ultra Ball in hand?
There is an Ultra Ball, but that's not going to thin down the hand enough for a Fusion Strike system. Really needs to get a Battle VIP pass off of this, and he knows it's going to be tough.
Yeah, he's going to have to risk all or nothing here.
It's a heads!
Massive. That 2 coming up trumps there. Both players rolling a 2 on the die to be able to hit a Battle VIP pass. And we've got a game on, ladies and gentlemen.
That was vital. Leon now is in the game. Beforehand, it would have been tough, but now we have a game in our hands. Leon can set up. Under that part of the peak, it might be a little bit tougher, but the disruption available for Leon towards the end of this game can often swing the game massively back in his favor. But that board state from Nicolina is so strong, so there's going to be a lot required for Leon in this game still.
Yeah, especially with Nicolina, I believe maybe holding a boss in hand as well. And if Leon cannot establish another Mew V, this could spell trouble for his side of the board. Oh, it does have the Lost Vacuum in hand, so we'll be able to keep going from this perspective. Lost Vacuums, the Choice Belt and Judge in hand. So actually his hand...
I didn't see the
judge. Not as bad as we thought it'd be.
I didn't see that judge there. That judge was hiding amongst the hand. Not familiar with that artwork. Is that Heart Gold, Soul Silver?
I'm not too sure, but I only own one.
Oh, an old man. You're the expert of the old cards.
I didn't play in that era. Maybe Ross would be able to help us with that one.
Okay, I'll consult Ross later on and find out which type of judge that is. But that hand really turned around with that Cramomatic, and getting rid of the path as well. Into that judge, this fresh set of 4 could be huge. If Leon can replace the path to the peak here, and Nicolina cannot find any of those outs to the path to the peak, it could get quite tough.
Does play 4 vacuums.
Oh, huge draws there.
I was maybe not wrong that he did have another vacuum in hand before he judged. Yeah, so he's gotten rid of it, of course. Sorry, I see the path to the peak underneath the V-Star now, which is actually one in the Lost Zone. Ignore me, we're back, we're gaming. We're going to be drawing some cards.
Oh, we are drawing some cards, don't you worry. As that Choice Belt was gone earlier, but there is 2 Choice Belts here in Leon's list. Something that does vary list by list. Some people play 1 Choice Belt, 1 Cleansing. Some people play 2 Choice Belts only. Leon opting to have both of those, 2 Choice Belts and the Cleansing Glove. So 3 damage modifiers into Mew VMAX here.
Finds his own path as well, but must know that he's only got access to one more lost vacuum. So if he's going to path now, he's going to have to find that final lost vacuum to just be able to continue his own turn 2 after.
There's also knowing that your opponent hasn't got a huge amount of disruption, the unlikely scenario that a judge comes through, that you might even just be able to set up a stable board state in your hand like you would against like a lost box, where you know the disruption's not coming through. So if they can get the hand set up nicely here for next turn.
Does have the Forest Seal Stone now, so has an out to his own path when he plays it down. He's looking to potentially Ultra Ball away some maybe less useful cards now. That Battle VIP pass no longer available as an active card to be played. There's the path. Doesn't want to play the Ultra Ball yet. Just passes over with the Genesect in the active spot. Is that a vacuum again?
Yeah, and you do wonder with that Ultra Ball being played down to draw a few more cards. Taking the Mew VMAX early would have been useful because it does open up more draw outs at that time. So we'll see, is that Alyssa Sparkle? So it could open up the Melodious Echo here.
This comes to the decision here. She does choose to put the Fusion Energy on that Mew V. Doesn't have another Mew V on the board, so it could potentially be sort of a target with even bigger target on its back because it has that Fusion Energy on it. If Nicolina maybe decided to put that on a Genesect, it maybe just kind of keeps the Mew V less of a target on Leon's second turn, because maybe you'd have to deal with that Meloetta.
Yeah, interesting stuff there. I mean, Melodious Echo, not something we see often currently, and using that Alyssa Sparkle, the efficiency of it, and the ins and outs of the nuances of it is something that we're still getting used to.
Wow.
But that's why you want to see you want to see 8 on the board. But then the problem you've got is that is even more of a target.
Yep, she's just given Leon a massive target on its back with those 2 Fusion Energies with the Mew V. Will it pay off? Does deal 310 damage to that Genesect V with a massive KO. Did take the Forest Seal Stone from the prizes. Leon here will have, well, I think, will try and target down that Mew V as soon as possible.
Oh yeah, as you mentioned, having it on a Genesect would have been a protected place, and so you'd have been able to spread it out potentially. But now it does mean that with a boss, this is a very dangerous knockout. And there it is, the Mew V is going to be taken out. And that means that big 280 damage, not accessible anymore for Leon. 2 prizes for Leon, 2 there. The part of the peak is still in play.
Now, this Meloetta can still take 2 prizes because of the damage modifiers in Power Tablet. Alongside a boss on either a Mew or a Genesect, maybe trying to stifle Leon's potential draw or attackers. But Nicolina will need to try and get a Mew down to maybe, you know, bait Leon into maybe charging at that instead of necessarily the Meloetta itself. But she's unfortunately maybe dug herself a little bit of a hole here.
Well, the Mew also can act as a pivot out if an escape rope comes through to try and target a 2-prizer. So the 2-2-2 line has to be the approach now for Nicolina. No longer able to hit those big numbers on a Mew VMAX that we might have been able to see with spread out Fusion Energy. So the Mew does come down now, and there's a Forest Seal Stone there, which is still active. We haven't seen the V-Star use this turn.
Is holding that Roxanne, not yet activated, as Leon hasn't quite taken the minimum of 3 prizes before it's activated here, as the V-Star marker is flipped over. Oh, lots of decision making to be made here. Nicolina, unfortunately, having lost 2 energies. Did she Ultra Ball away a DTE earlier as well?
It was, yeah. So that's options taken away too. I mean, what you've mentioned here is the approach from Nicolina has now been forced down one way. So that gives Leon more of a chance to play around it. Whereas before, what we've seen with the Fusion Mew against Mew VMAX is it just gets too overwhelming with energy everywhere, the Fusion energy everywhere. And so it is still in Nicolina's favor in terms of going for that 2-2-2 line.
She can still do it quicker than Leon can.
Yep.
Definitely possible. Now having the Mew established does have a potential second attacker. But yeah, I mean, it's still very much in her favor. She just lost a few percentage points of maybe like making it a little bit easier for herself.
Exactly, and it's also the Disruption Mew build wants to prey on a less stable board state, right? They want to be able to look at a player and go, you have only one route here, I'm going to play around that, and make it as hard as possible for you. So does need to draw into a power tablet here. There's a Hisuian heavy ball, which will find a Mew and potentially some more draw.
Yep.
Energy to be able to play down. So there is ways to keep drawing here.
Pretty good at having hit that Hisuian heavy ball. Currently dealing, as a reminder, 170 damage, 140 from the 2 fusion energies. And of course, that choice belt that's currently attached. As we do see the Mew V taken from the prizes. Hopefully, Nicolina will be able to then draw up to 6 with those fusion strike systems in play. Oh, maybe with the 6 with the Mew being benched as well, of course. Does have DT in hand, could attach that to one of her Pokemon.
Okay, so a bit more draw needed here to find the power tablet.
Has boss in hand as well for a follow-up turn. If she can just find a tablet here. There's the 2nd fusion strike system. There's the tablet.
Oh, huge.
We'll be taking a massive KO here. Again with the Meloetta. A little slam to the table by Leon. Just
the world's softest desk slam from Leon. Just knowing that it's not favorable now. And Leon is just going to have to go down the typical Disruption Mew approach of how can I make it as hard as possible for my opponent to win next turn.
Has to dig for that Roxanne play himself. Roxanne path, just to try and limit the options of Nicolina.
The early disruption with that Lost City, putting a Pokemon there. Was this the game we had Avery too?
No.
Was that game 1 or was that this one?
I think that was game 2.
That was game 2?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we haven't seen that Avery this time, but limited Pokemon to try and get that draw here as well. So it's going to be hard for Leon to really build up that bench and draw as many cards as possible. We do see Ultra Balls in there and a boss, but you don't really want a boss now. You want to disrupt it.
Need to be disrupting. Hasn't used his V-Star power, so if he can maneuver into one of his Forest Seal Stones, does have one, has it available to him
already. Has it on board already?
Yeah. So it's there, but of course, if you can just draw into it without having to utilize that power to save it for your future turns, it's incredible power spike from that.
Yeah, so there is 2 Genesect left in the deck as well to build out that draw. So an Ultra Ball here to find a Genesect would be good. And then that's where you start digging for Roxanne and try and bump the Lost City with a path to the peak. And hope that Nicolina struggles out of it. You know, if you take out the Meloetta at that stage, yes, you only get 1 prize, but it takes away their main attacker. They'd have to find a Mew VMAX at that point.
There's the escape rope, so an easy way into a 2-prizer. But, of course, still leaves the Meloetta as a threat, as you've thoroughly mentioned correctly there.
So Leon going for the quickest route to victory here rather than the most disrupted route to victory. So trying to go for a quick Roxanne path and taking 2 knockouts. It also thins the hand a little bit more, making it easier to go find the Roxanne.
Another one of those measured approaches that Leon has to take for the time being. He knows what he has to do. He has to disrupt this turn, but with both pieces of the puzzle.
When we speak about this matchup and how it's more favored towards the disruption build, it's these moments that it can show that. If you get that early pressure with the fusion build, it can often lead to moments like this where a Roxanne path makes it near impossible to come back.
Hasn't hit any of those pieces as of yet, so we'll still need to dig through for a path and the Roxanne itself. Just Ultra Balling away the power tablets, not looking to go through any big hitters. I just saw the flash of the Roxanne there as well, as we do pull out the Mew VMAX now. Can continue to draw one more time with one more Fusion Strike system available to Leon. Could be massive here. Let's see if he's actually able to pull it off.
Wants to get the guarantee and keep the Forest Seal Stone in play. Does have the Forest Seal Stone available for one of the 2 pieces between Path and Roxanne. And at this stage, you can see there the Ultra Ball also going to be just thinning all those cards out, making it as likely as possible. This hand right now will be drawing to 6 with that Genesect in play. 1 more Genesect available.
Does he have now 1 more boss available as well in the deck? Of course, has access to Power Pad. But, you know, what's more vital for this particular turn is to increase those odds of that Roxanne path play. Crymomatic, Mew VMAX, path. Crymomatic yet again, and the Judge, not quite the same.
Crymomatic
could do it.
This would be huge. If this flips heads, that keeps the Forest Sealstone in play. And there it is, it's heads. So this is going to be the Roxanne. Path goes down, Roxanne Path.
This is incredible here from Leon. We'll be able to take a massive knockout and force Nicolina to just 2 remaining cards. Do see the path play, and there comes down the Roxanne. So it's just these 3 cards Nicolina will be drawing. So the 2 from the Roxanne and the top deck. All eyes on this.
Nothing Leon has to do now. Everything is on the board for him. 2 MUV Max with energy on. Nothing bigger than a V. Everything is in range of that Techno Blast. So at this stage, Leon just has to hope that Nicolina cannot get out of this, cannot find a Boss plus Meloetta knockout with a damage modifier, or evolve a MUV Max to make it a little bit harder. Everything right now is in favor of Leon again.
Yeah, it's come full swings and roundabout. Has Nicolina hit anything there? I can't say. I think it has. A little shake of the head. The power pad for the double boss is going to be massive as well. This game has completely turned on its head here.
Oh, wow. Leon has gone through so many emotions throughout this match. You can see how much he cares about winning. The Stuttgart champion, Liverpool champion here on the semi-final, looking to try and make another final this season. Gets that knockout. 2 prizes remain. Will the Roxanne stick?
Just right now, there's not too much. She will be able to evolve up, I believe, the MUV Max. As she just double checks the prize. Oh, not
going
prizes,
through with a nest ball here just to see what they can find.
This is tense. Leon knows it's out of his hands. Looks like Nicolina doesn't have too many options. Does evolve the MUV Max. I mean, the Meloetta right now is a Pokemon. What is she? She still needs 2 prizes. Does attack with a MUV Max.
That's the boss. There it is. Leon's in the final.
That's it. Leon, with that top deck boss, is our winner of our top 4 feature match. Having lost game 1 to come back from the cusp and stay and remain undefeated in this tournament.
Look how much it means to him. Making his way back to his 2nd final. Leon played incredibly there, chose every route to victory through to that final moment. And as it was, Roxanne was the winning card. The disruption build disrupting to victory. Leon, our finalist.
He had to really stretch for that. He had to play every card so meticulously and just get those final pieces. You know, Roxanne, it is completely out of his hands once he plays it. Of course, the disruption does give him greater odds to stay out of range of being KO'd. But yeah, unlucky, unfortunate for Nicolina. Fantastic run to make it to top 4.
I mean, top 4 is still an amazing achievement, you know?
Gets one of those fantastic medals still, I believe, as part of the now awards that we do get for regional level events. And the prizes that are available to her. Like I said, she was one of those players who had that risky ID into top 8, was able to navigate past top 8 match as well and make it to this top 4 game. And it just, unfortunately, just fell a tiny bit short.
I mean, you got to admit that last little moment there, when you flip over the cards from Roxanne to see what you've got, there is worlds where it sometimes falls perfectly to you. You have everything you need. On this occasion, it wasn't the case, so top 4 it is for Nicolina. You got to respect that, but a great semi-final there. I wonder what's happening on the other side.
Yeah, I think we're just hearing that's coming through. Maximilian has been able to take down Mateus. Mateus is unfortunately also fallen short in top 4. So Lugia will be facing up against Mew VMAX in the final. Who would have thought that?
I mean, we were expecting to see Lost Box and Mew do well, but Lugia has come through. We haven't seen Lugia do as well since the rotation, but still an amazing deck. And when it's running hot, it's very, very powerful. Leon will be looking to disrupt it as much as possible in this final, I'm sure. But Maximilian, what a run they've had.
Yeah, incredible run with that Lugia deck. You know, once you are hitting the right cards, being able to put yourself in a great position to utilize your different attackers. I would love to hear about that matchup against the Kyogre, because Kyogre has different options itself to be able to start swinging away, but Lugia was able to pull through and make it to the final.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Kyogre's main strength in the Lost Box, is to help in that Lugia matchup, but it can be tough to navigate, and I think one of the hardest things to navigate is that last-minute Kragger launch that can come out from the Tyranitar. If you misplay and misjudge the Kyogre at the end of the game, they can just say, you have no cards left in your deck, and it completely destroys the whole game plan. So Lost Box no longer in the tournament. 2 decks remain, Lugia, Mew VMAX. I think we've seen a fair representation of the best decks in the format at this event as we're coming near to this format in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I did have a chance to quickly catch up with Fabio earlier, who also fell at top 8 against Maximilian. If I'm not mistaken, against Lugia, it was that Kragalanch attack, which just milled, I believe, the Mirage Gates and just kind of left him just unable to deal with the power of Lugia and those types of attackers that it has. So if I'm not mistaken, taking out 2 Lost Box decks, and Lugia's in the final against that Mew VMAX.
Well, the Dark type attacking from the Lugia build will be useful against the Mew VMAX. Ultimately, what we'll see in this final is going to be a quick, early decision as to whether the game is going to go one way or the other. It's normally decided by those first disruptions from the Mew VMAX. If the Lugia gets set up, it's near impossible for Mew to win. And the other way around, it's very much, how are you going to survive this judge and path? So we'll see how Leon's build, which is very heavily leaning towards that path judge, how that does in that matchup.
Yeah, for sure. Just being able to limit the Lugia's V-Star ability to not be able to get those Archeops out onto the board will be vital. It's those early turns again. We mentioned it about this mirror match and sort of navigating the first couple of turns to be able to draw more cards with Fusion Strike system. It's the same scenario in the final, what we're hoping to see a fantastic matchup. Whether Lugia will be able to pull through and find one of its outs to be able to utilize that ability and then start swinging away with its sort of variety of attackers.
Well, we're starting to get close to the end of this special event in Turin. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. You've been swinging along with us, going through all of the motions that we have. That last one went up and down for us, and I mean, that's the case with all disruption-based decks. You never know what you're going to see out of a judge. I'm interested to hear what you guys have enjoyed watching at home. Have you enjoyed the particular decks we've seen? We've had some fun decks. Have you enjoyed the players we've been seeing, or whether you've been enjoying the matchups? You know, the particular matchups. I mean, Mew versus Fusion Mew. We got to see that at Malmo, but there's been some new interesting iterations of decks we've seen here, like that Rapid Strike box earlier.
Yeah, of course. We know it's been a deck that's kind of snuck around in the background for some time now, looking to kind of utilize those lower HP Pokemon to just kind of use things like Yoga Loop and the Radiant Alakazam to kind of have a lot of shenanigans to deal with those types of decks. I mean, what's your highlight so far, Mike? What have you seen that's really kind of hit home for you?
The amazing Italian food. I mean, that's not the Pokemon stuff, but it has been. We've been looked after well here in Turin. It's been a very well-run event, so good work to the Italian community. It's been great to see lots of new people as well getting involved, lots of newer players from the Italian scene.
Yeah, I was expecting you to say Cyclizar, but we'll take that.
Oh, Cyclizar was amazing. Cyclizar was my favorite card of the event. Thank you for reminding me.
Of course, wanted to get that mention once again.
Appreciate you.
I think we've got to see a lot of variety of decks, and again, it was amazing. So I think we're ready now to give you yet another interview with Leon. Oh, apologies, I'm just getting more information that there will not be an interview. Maybe we'll be going to just a short break whilst we get the final set up and ready for you guys at home.